6 at 7 p.m. in the Herman B. Wells Community Center. The Board of School Trustees of the Lebanon Community School Corporation will hold a public hearing to discuss and hear objections and support regarding the proposed 2026 Campus Master Plan. The regular meeting will follow that public hearing. This meeting is a meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There will be time for public participation as indicated by the agenda. The meeting site is fully accessible. Any person requiring further accommodation should contact the superintendent at the school corporation's central office. Go ahead and start us off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Hutchinson, if you can do that for us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, all members are currently present tonight, so we do have a quorum. Mr. Havlin, do you want to please read the mission statement for us?
Lebanon Community School Corporation challenges everyone every day to reach a new best.
All right, and with that, I'll go ahead and open the project hearing and second preliminary determination hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Klauser. As you mentioned, this is the second of two required public hearings anytime a school corporation wishes to enter into a project financing. We were here 7 days ago for this very matter and showed extensively the project via the screens above and then shared the financial information at the end. For the sake of this meeting this evening, I plan to describe the project verbally and then also again share the financial information. So as a reminder, this is the proposed project for a multi-year campus master plan that includes multiple individual projects that could take place by themselves. Some of the projects, however, do require other projects to take place within the master plan. But again, this is a master plan to show that we have engaged with a professional partner to show what our facilities could look like should the master plan be executed in its entirety. So for that purpose, then, the entirety of the master plan is as follows. Within Lebanon High School itself, it would involve the conversion of the current auxiliary gym, which is going to be vacated from the sense that the new Student Activity Center gives us 3 additional courts of space versus the 1 in the existing auxiliary gym. And so for that reason, proposing that the existing auxiliary gym be converted into a wrestling room. That wrestling room will feature just over 3.5 full mats of space, and it will also include 364 seat pull-out bleachers. And so the wrestling gym will serve as both a practice gym but also a competition gym for duels in the future, or more space should we wish to host invitationals. We would include in that gym an office space for both of our head coaches for our girls and boys track team. I know the board is aware. Wrestling team, thank you. I know the board is aware of the current wrestling situation taking place in a mezzanine, as our current room. Additionally, we would expand the east side of Lebanon High School where the current natatorium is to turn the pool 90 degrees clockwise and include 2 additional lanes. We currently have a 6-lane pool. 8-lane pools are the standard for competition pools. That will include a diving well with 2 springboards, 450 spectator seats that are raised off of the pool deck, a wet classroom, obviously all new HVAC pool equipment. It's my understanding that pools now don't use chlorine in some way. I was looking today at the amount of money on pool chemicals we buy every year. It's close to $10,000. Right next to that new natatorium would be a new square footage of a weight room. That would be just to the north of the natatorium. Because of these improvements and the fact that that would extend into our existing bus lot, this project also includes site work that would move the existing bus lot towards or to where the staff lot currently parks by the Little League, and the current bus lot would turn into staff parking. Moving to our football stadium, it would include new 3,500 seat bleachers, press box, 1,000 seat bleachers on the visitor side. As I mentioned last week, we currently do not have the number of restroom fixtures that are required, so toilets and urinals that are required to build the stadium as it sits today. So as I mentioned again, we are not in violation of code because we're grandfathered, but if we wanted to build our exact stadium right now with the restroom features that are present, that would not be allowed by current building code as it reads today in 2026. So for that reason, on the scoreboard end of the field, once the track would be demolished, it would be the additional restroom fixtures, visitors' locker room. This would provide complete separation between both teams. The visitors would go to the north, and obviously the home team would go to the south for their respective locker rooms. We would also install a new ticketing booth right off of Grant Street, so the visiting team and fans would park at Lebanon Middle School, walk down our sidewalk, and actually enter a dedicated ticket booth just on the northeast side of the football stadium. Additionally, expanded parking at the admin center. Also, the master plan does feature the capability of adding a field. Turf is in the plan, but obviously could be natural grass as well, and that would be for community use, so Little League football or whatever the case may be on a Saturday perhaps, but also the band could potentially practice there, and in the master plan is a dedicated band tower. As the board's aware right now, our band tower is on wheels, and so it's not a permanent fixture in our current band lot right now. Moving to the north of the middle school is where we would then feature multiple sports, track and field, baseball, and cross country. So this master plan includes the construction of a new 8-lane track that would be surfaced with Mondo. Inside of that would be a turf field. The emerging sport with the IHSAA is girls flag football. Girls flag football striping is unlike anything we currently have on campus. In fact, if I were to show it right now, I don't know that anyone would recognize it as that's a flag football field. It's a very unique striping pattern. Furthermore, it is a fall sport, and so practice space for that team would be difficult to find, obviously, with the outdoor fields that we have being occupied in the fall. In addition to that would be obviously a new dedicated discus sector and 2 new shot sectors just to the north of the track. We would have a new parking lot that would serve as parking for soccer, and then obviously the track and field that I just mentioned, and the 2 baseball fields. This would include a varsity baseball field that is turf, dugouts, seating around home plate as is the case, batting cage just to the west of that field, natural grass JV field, identical dimensions as the varsity field, a much more reduced seating behind home plate than the varsity field, and then obviously no batting cage because the batting cage would be at the varsity field. In the middle of all this would be a new locker room facility, and these locker room facilities would serve for our soccer team in the fall as well as cross country. This would give locker room facilities within about 50 yards of the competition field for soccer, and then we would then serve baseball and softball in the spring, in addition to track and field. So we have locker room space for all those sports that have always played to the north of Lebanon High School, there just north of the middle school. There are some renovations to the soccer infrastructure in between the 2 varsity fields that would include a new press box and seating there as well. Finally, within the space around the baseball fields and in that acreage that we own just to the north of the middle school, we would dedicate 2 cross-country courses, one 3K course, which is the distance that the middle school runs, and one 5K course, which is the distance that the high school runs. Both courses would terminate at the same finishing arc, just different starting spots and a different path that they would weave through that facility. It would all be converted into grass, and the cross-country course would be mowed, whereas the natural grasses on either side would be allowed to grow and define the course. 2 points of egress to this new infrastructure that we would have in that field. One would come directly off of John Bart Road, and then the other would be the extension of the road going up past the middle school, kind of how parents you would used to drop off students there. Right up by our grounds building, it would weave around the practice middle school football field, and that would give us 2 points of ingress and egress to this facility. That is the extent of the project. Financials. This project, the maximum amount of par bonds, and we would do this over multiple series of bonds, likely 3. This project, if we were to go and not stop, cannot finish sooner than 27 months. This could not start sooner than spring of 27. Obviously, a lot of drawings, survey, things of that nature would need to take place through the course of this year, probably accept bids late this year, and then look for a March start. Again, we don't want to start over the winter. It's pretty sloppy for site work. So again, from March, April of 2027, we're looking at a 27-month project. So that push us into summer of 2029. So this would be multiple issuances of bonds for this project, not one big one. Ultimately allows us to issue exactly and only exactly what we need to get this done. So the maximum total of these issuances and the maximum price of the par bonds for this project is $87,695,000. The interest rates of these bonds would be between 1% and 7%. That's not a choice we make. That's what the market says that day. Our underwriters put a broad range in there to keep us legal. If the market gets really bad and could end up at 7% interest rates, or if the market goes the other way and goes down. For perspective, board, if these bonds were issued today, we'd be issuing under 4% today. That's where the market is right now. The impact to our non-exempt debt service tax rate, so think about not our debt service that's associated with the referendum that built the elementary school, so our non-exempt debt service would be just under 16 cents with our recent drop in the tax rate down to 86 cents. And again, obviously tax rates dependent on AV, and we don't know what AV would be, but we would anticipate this project would return us to the tax rate that we have been at for the last 3 years. We've been in that 97-cent range for the last 3-4 years. Big drop in 2026 down to 86 cents this year. This project, again, depends on where AV is, but comfortably saying a return to our historical rate around that 97, 98, 99 cents. Maximum annual debt service as a percentage of NAV is 0.79%, and then direct and overlapping debt as a percentage of NAV would be 13.35% for this project. So at this time, Mr. Klauser, happy to answer any questions the board may have. No questions from the board. We would then turn it over to you for public hearing.
Thanks, Zach. I have a couple questions. I know we discussed some of this last week. In terms of the project, have we done any sort of this wide scale of a project in terms of our athletic facilities since we know of? Or I know we've touched some things like the softball field and some things like that intermittently, but obviously we're touching 6 or 7 sports here.
So obviously in my time, the only thing that we've done athletically was the softball facility that was planned before my arrival. Obviously, since my time, nothing of that nature. Before that, the floor paint and Rosensteel. Other than that, I do know there's a section of the football bleachers that are not original. The 3 sections on the north side are still the old angle iron, and sitting on the footers, that field was poured in the late 60s and in the 70s. So those are the bleachers from then. There are new aluminum ones on the south side, and you can see, and if you even look aerially, the press box is not centered. That's another way you can tell. Besides that, nothing to the pool. Tennis courts, correct, yeah. So tennis is not part of this project, but yes, tennis courts were the post-tension concrete that we did. It was during your time, 2020, but other than that, nothing with athletics.
Okay. And and I'm not trying to put you on the spot here, but what percentage of our student base does this project touch in terms of our student athletes?
I think I'm going to lean on Mr. Levine here. He would probably be able to speak more towards how many of our student body.
There's about 400 students out of 1,000 that participate in sports. They sit next, and all kids use our facilities. We have around 400, 420 students.
I've usually said comfortably over 30% grades 6 through 12. Obviously, it's closer to 40% at the high school, but maybe it's closer to 35%, Mr. Lamine, 6 through 12.
And that's overall athletes, so I mean, this would touch the vast majority of it.
Almost every sport.
Almost every area of the sport.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
That's just not high school.
Sure.
Correct.
Any other questions from the board?
The 97 cents you talked about, I mean, I think when I came on board, we were actually historically above a dollar.
Closer to a dollar was a
right
historical-
above a dollar, always try to keep it there. So this is actually, with the improvements we've been making, are continued to keep that rate actually lower now than before.
That's correct. When we were campaigning for the referendum, Mr. Parks, that was kind of one of our talking points, is we have hovered around that dollar mark, but we've actually been under that for many years.
Mr. Dennis, how competitive would this make us with other school districts our size?
There have been, I know Danville has recently taken a major swing at their athletics. Obviously, new conference that we are moving to, and the schools in this conference have, I guess you'd call it updated facilities. I would say that this would put us on par. Again, the early designs that we have, and I think certainly our track record, no pun intended, of what we've built with the renovations are not indicative of I always refer to, okay, I was going to say Taj Mahal, but extravagant probably is it is a responsible design. You know, transportation facility wasn't brick wrapped. It's a pre-engineered metal building, and so by no means are we looking to compete with colleges with these facilities or anything like that. But the facilities are showing their age.
Would this allow us to host events here that we aren't currently able to host because of our?
There's no question. There will never be a conference or sectional hosted in our natatorium. 6-lane pools are disregarded completely. Our track is a 6-lane track. I don't know how common knowledge that is. There are 7 lanes to run the 100 on, but at that, duals are all that are willing to be hosted here. And so in terms of being an IHSAA host for sectionals and regionals and further events like that, but even conference, we become a site then where we host those again. Even I know we moved away from hosting some traditional wrestling meets that we've had here, having you know, the ability to have a dedicated space in the auxiliary gym, proposed new wrestling gym, but then also having mats in Rosensteel as well. Again, 2 competition mats in the proposed wrestling room, and then 2 to 3 probably in Rosensteel. I mean, it's a heck of an invitational.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I think we'll move on to comments from the public at this point. Any comments from the public? All right, seeing none, we'll move ahead. So let's move on to the resolutions, Mr. Dennis.
How would you prefer to do this? Would you prefer to me explain all 3 and take them in one vote, or would you like to vote per resolution?
Let's vote per resolution on
Understood.
this.
Exhibit A, and the first resolution is known as the project resolution. This is the board stating that they have carefully reviewed our facilities and they believe this project to be in the best interest of the school corporation moving forward. It also states the maximum borrowing amount that we would issue for this, as well as the impacts to the tax rate.
Questions? Take a motion on project resolution A, Exhibit A.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, resolution passes. Go to B.
B is the preliminary determination resolution, very similar to the first resolution, states a lot more in depth on how the financing takes place. The name of it, you have preliminarily determined as a board that the project is a necessity.
All right. Questions? Take a motion.
I'll make that motion as well.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And lastly, Exhibit C.
This is the declaration of our intent to reimburse expenses. This resolution basically says the board understands that we will incur costs, design fees, things of that nature before the bonds are ultimately sold, and we would then reimburse ourselves for those expenses from bond proceeds once received.
Make a motion.
Take a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, at this point, I'll go ahead and close the project hearing, and then we'll open up our regular meeting this evening. Okay, approval of the minutes. We're approving minutes from the January 20th, 2026 reorganization meeting, the January 20th, 2026 regular meeting, and the February 10th, 2026 public hearing. Any questions on any of the minutes? I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
In our notes. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now I think I'll turn it over to Mr. or Dr. Milliman here for a few minutes.
For my superintendent announcements and celebrations, right? Thank you, Mr. Klauser. I appreciate it. Just a few items for you this evening. A lot happening since our last meeting. Wanted to just bring to your attention, we've shared, and Mrs. Buis will be sharing more on social media as well, that we did make the decision to begin to implement a sliding scale for tuition at the Tiger Cubs pre-K by leveraging some more dollars from the district, knowing that this may or may not be a sustainable item to be able to do without some foundation help, private help down the road. Wanted to remind the board that as promised through our operating referendum campaign, that we are leveraging over $600,000 annually for the operations of the pre-K using the operating referendum, covering the nurse, SRO, utilities, insurance, operations of the building. So tuition is covering just the instruction in the classrooms. But we wanted to we're not as far as we'd like to go on that sliding scale, as we've talked about publicly here. But we are implementing that, and we'll have some limited slots to be able to do that. So I wanted to share that with the board this evening as well. Along those lines, thanks to the Lebanon Educational Foundation, they have agreed to create a line in their operating budget for us as a preschool access fund that will allow us, when we go out to foundations, private donors, et cetera, to be able to donate to the Lebanon Educational Foundation in that preschool access fund. And then we will, as that builds over time, then we'll be able to leverage those dollars to help families be able to access that early childhood education. Yes, you have an aggressive and ambitious superintendent. I have put the number at $5 million. That is our goal, is to build that fund to $5 million, and I think we can do that. How long it takes us to do that, we don't know, but I'm impatient when it comes to helping our children access preschool. So we are going to be aggressively looking for funds in many ways to be able to do that. To that end, we have been, Mr. Hunt and our office has been seeking grants. We just submitted one today to a foundation to try to build that fund. The Lebanon RDC met in a working session recently. I had shared some information with them that the Madison, Indiana, they're down near the Ohio River, that Madison, opened an early childhood center there. The Madison RDC has provided $280,000 to their early childhood education fund and operations of that building. So we've been in discussions with them and made that request. So we're leaving no stone unturned to be able to request funds in any way we can to help our students access early childhood education. Also, I just wanted to share with the board that I did send a correspondence to the city of Lebanon, the town of Whitestown, requesting a joint work session with the Lebanon School Board. There's a lot going on with Senate Enrolled Act 1 and how it's going to affect the revenue, not just for cities and towns, but for schools, of course. Mayor Gentry and I attended a meeting hosted by the Lebanon EDC recently, and that just reinforced, in my mind, the positive outcome that could come from a joint working session like that. I learned some things that day that our cities face and will be facing due to SEA1. I think they probably learned some things that we face as well. I think it'd be very healthy for us to have a conversation in an open forum in a public meeting to talk about that, talk about our short and long-term planning and how we can be partners in the growth in Boone County, but then also how we have to manage our expenses and revenue around SEA1. So we'll see. We'll keep you posted on whether that materializes here in the near future. Mr. Dennis mentioned recently athletic conference changes. We have been accepted recently into the Hoosier Heritage Conference. This is a switch that came after we had some changes in the Sagamore Conference. And so I haven't talked a lot about that here at the board meeting, but you know, we had engaged with the Terre Haute schools in Danville and Lebanon, and then the 2 Lafayette schools in the Sagamore Conference. There's some changes going on at Terre Haute. Some folks may be paying attention to that, and it's accelerating a little bit quicker than I thought it would be. That talks about potentially consolidating their 2 high schools. And so there was certainly some travel involved. We've had some questions about that, you know, in the travel around athletic conferences. Just wanted to share with the board that is the norm in athletic conferences in Indiana at this point. Enrollments are changing. Lebanon is one of the very few districts in the state of Indiana with increasing enrollment. Approximately 70% of the school districts, public school districts in Indiana, are either stagnant or declining in enrollment. And that is causing some major shifts in athletic conferences as schools change size and change configurations, and travel is becoming part of that. So certainly in us moving to the Hoosier Heritage Conference, with the exception of Yorktown, we really had already played most of those teams, and maybe not in every sport, but we played most of those teams in many sports. So it hasn't been a big shift for us from a competition standpoint. We felt like it was a better fit for us with like-sized schools, folks who are going to be great hosts, they're going to travel well, and they're going to raise the bar. And you've heard me say many times that high tide raises all the boats. And so we're not going to run from competition, we're going to run toward competition, and we believe that that is a very strong conference. Since we made that move in this last week, Brebeuf Jesuit and Gearing Catholic have announced that they're going to be joining the Hoosier Heritage Conference beginning in 2027 to take that conference to an 8-team conference. Again, we compete with Gearin and Brebeuf often in many of our sports as well. So we believe it's a strong conference, and we're excited about getting rolling in that officially. So just want to spend some time with you and give you an opportunity to ask some questions here as well at the end. And then the last item I had this evening is a little shout out to Mr. Dennis's office, most specifically to Nikki Asbury. We, with Mr. Klauser, Mr. Dennis and I think we attended might be the shortest audit meeting with the State Board of Accounts I've ever attended. I think it lasted about 3 minutes, and that's because Nikki did an outstanding job with all of her ECA accounts. I think they had one suggestion, which was basically to just break some revenue out on our ledger sheet, a little bit easier to read next time. But there were absolutely no findings, no issues, and so I just wanted to give a public shout out to her, because that's no easy task dealing with all the different extracurricular accounts throughout the district. So that is it for my superintendent announcements and celebrations. Happy to answer any questions you might have around any of those items.
Any questions from the board? Yeah, as the pre-K fundraising continues, that's obviously a huge part of that is not only having it, but making it affordable to our families. So thanks, everybody doing that work.
I think I skipped my new best awards. I got to go back.
That's what I was getting ready to bring you back to.
And the
our
kids
board
are out there
meetings.
thinking, "Shut up, Dr. Milliman. I was supposed to get my award."
Yeah, they were looking. I saw them looking at the agenda
Yeah,
too.
you forgot
like,
me.
They noticed.
Yeah,
They
that's right. I
noticed.
didn't forget them. So I'm going to get up for a second and speak on them in just a second. What I wanted to celebrate. Wanted to celebrate this evening some of our student athletes and their accomplishments this evening. I'm going to first ask Thomas Thompson. It's on. I'm going to act like this is working.
Round everybody out. Thomas was our sole wrestler at the semi-state level. I want to brag on him a little bit here. All Sagamore Conference, undefeated, conference meet, second place in the sectional competition, third place at regional. Like I said, represented us well at the semi-state. We wanted to make sure we gave him his just due and honor this evening. This may be on out in the public, so you can all right. My little sister's wrestling track last night. Oh, there you go. That's good. That's a good reason. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. Yes. Give it up. Nico Chucker. This was the superintendent's new best nominee. Nico's, first of all, he's just a great kid. Most people know that about Nico. We'll brag about it a little bit here. All Sagamore Conference, undefeated in the conference meet. Nico's a three-sport athlete, plays football, wrestling, track and field. He's the only athlete to be honored by the Lebanon Sports Booster Association as the athlete to run in 3 separate sports. Try this one. This one better? Oh, yeah. In 3 separate sports. And he is going to be, did you know he's going to be our nominee for the scholarship? He's going to be our Eugene Cato nominee for the Eugene Cato Scholarship for the IHSAA. And it's a very prestigious IHSAA scholarship. We can't think of a better representative for Lebanon. But one of the reasons Nico's here is because Nico had a very unfortunate end to his season and unexpected. And I tell you, one of my 25 rules for life is we can learn a lot from kindergartners. We just listen to them. Things are simple, and we just need to listen to our kids. Nico's not a kindergartner, but we can learn a lot from our high school kids too. And it was unfortunate how his season ended. The superintendent was making phone calls. I don't know if you knew that. He was making emails. I made as many contacts as I could to try to get that situation turned around. I guess I don't have as much power as I thought I did, but I tried. But I tell you, the way this young man handled that adversity with class and dignity is something that our adults, not only in our community, in our state, in our region, but our country, can learn a lot from. So I wanted to honor you for that, because you're a special young man. So give it up for Nico. Check that. There we go. Clara Gramlin. Come on up. Clara completed her senior year with an overall record of 26-5. December 6th, during the Lady Tigers trip to Monrovia, Clara captured her 100th career victory, setting a new Lebanon High School record for wins by a female wrestler. She has an overall record of a 109-22, which I think ties you for the, right? Ties you for the most, right, in the history? Or are you number one? Okay. Almost. But most impressively, then Clara ended the season as your IHSAA state runner-up, which is incredible. Man, it's a grind, right? From the beginning of the season to the end. So we're super proud of your hard work. So please help me congratulate Clara for that.
Yeah, thank you all for how you represent the school, and proud to have you guys here with us tonight. So, anything else we need to move on? Yeah, that will take a quick recess here for you guys to take off, unless you want to stick around for the rest of the meeting. Agenda looks pretty riveting, but. I know.
Can't leave.
All right, I think with that, that's going to take us to our informational items for the night, unless I'm missing something else.
No, I'm sorry for skipping that agenda.
No, it's
item.
okay. Construction renovation update,
None from me.
facility naming campaign, Dr. Milliman.
Thank you, Mr. Clauser. In your packet, you have some suggestions. The board already has a policy on facility naming, whether it be meeting rooms, facilities within facilities. And so there's already a board policy in place, so we don't need to discuss that this evening or changes to that. In my mind, no recommendations from me. Mentioned earlier, we're trying to grow the preschool access fund. And I think one of the ways that I would like to suggest the board consider that is to be a little bit more public in that policy that we have, and to give folks the opportunity to have a meeting room, such as the meeting room we're sitting in right now. We have 3 meeting spaces here at the, Herman B. Wells. We'll have a new meeting space at our new central office located in the former Central Elementary. We have a high school auditorium that is not currently named for any corporation, business, family of any kind. And we have an activity room, which is what was the gymnasium at the pre-K, a movement activity room as well. So I'm proposing that we just be a little bit more public about that this evening, and I put some suggested dollar amounts around that and the length of time that these facilities would be named, should folks be interested in reaching out and wanting their family name perhaps attached to that. Again, board policy would vet that. I mean, there would be choices around that. But I'll just read off what I have for your consideration this evening, and if you're comfortable with it, I don't think it needs any kind of board action, Mr. Clauser. I think it's just more of a kind of a consensus, if you will, that we can move forward with that since there's already a policy in place. But what I had in mind for Herman B. Wells meeting room number 1, which is the room that also has an entrance to the main entrance to the high school. So the name that would go on HB1 would be seen by everybody who would enter the doors of Lebanon High School. I'm suggesting a $150,000 pledge for Herman B. Wells 1. It could be done over 10 years at $15,000 per year, and I'm suggesting that would be a permanent naming opportunity for someone. Room 2 and 3, we are currently sitting in 3, would be $100,000, which we could accept over a 10-year period, $10,000 per year in an agreement, and also suggesting that be a permanent naming opportunity. The central office meeting room, suggesting also $100,000 there, potentially over a 10-year period, and a permanent naming opportunity. The preschool activity room and movement room, suggesting $200,000 to be named in your company's name or whatever it might be. That would be for the length of the agreement, would be my suggestion, so that at the end of that 10 years, if another corporation, say, would want to engage with us, then they might have the opportunity to do that at that time. And the auditorium, I'm suggesting $300,000 would be the number that we would be seeking for naming rights to the high school auditorium. That would be a permanent naming opportunity. That would be also accepted over a 10-year period at $30,000 installments over that 10-year period. So I just wanted to kind of publicly talk about that, and if the board is comfortable with us moving forward in that direction, then Mrs. Buis and I will work on some literature, reach out to our community, and make this opportunity a little bit more public. But happy to answer any questions or suggestions. That's really what this was designed for this evening.
Yeah, I'm just assuming that the, any facility naming would come with some sort of, you know, advertisement, signage, that kind of thing.
Correct.
Along with that.
Correct.
I'm assuming we would just work with people and approve any signage. They'd have to.
Yes, I
you know,
mean,
follow
my
under
thought,
us as
usually
well.
in a facility such as a school facilities, we would work and have some type of standard signage, perhaps, that would be something that would look professional and consistent across the rooms.
Sure.
But also, I think what's neat, let's say it's a family that would want to do this, that everything that would be advertised. For example, if we have a meeting, it wouldn't be in the Herman B. Wells Room 3. It would be the Clauser Meeting Room at Herman B. Wells. And for the end of time, that will be identified in every correspondence, every public-facing agenda, and it'll be known as that space. And so I think that's you know, that's the whole crux of having these naming opportunities. But we would work for some type of standardized signage, but then we could also have some things scrolling and things of that nature, you know, during events to identify folks.
Great. Any questions?
Would this extend to like buildings such as the Student Activity Center? Or?
It could. I think that as we're looking at larger scale sponsorships when the facilities get completed, that we would be open to engage with folks. Your board policy, just for the public's knowledge and just for your knowledge as well, even though we would say these things are permanent, there are caveats to that. I mean, there are certain things that, if unfortunate circumstances arise, that the board would need to make a decision to revoke that naming. You would reserve the right to do that. We would work through legal counsel so that before we would sign any agreements with folks, that all those things would be vetted and be clear to the folks who would be engaging with us.
And again, the primary purpose of this is to explore every door to take something off the taxpayer's plate, you know,
Yes.
if we can,
Yes,
to,
exactly.
you know, raise funds for things.
Yep.
All right.
All right, we'll move forward. Thank you very much.
I think that takes us on to our consent agenda staff matters.
Yes, just asking the board's consideration and approval of the staff matters for classified certified ECA this evening.
Any questions over any of those? I'll take a motion to approve as presented in our background notes.
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. So consent agenda business matters, financial update.
Thank you, Mr. Clauser. As always, our normal 2 documents for the financial update, but as promised at the January meeting that I would include the decade cash flow projection. As you can see, as I mentioned at the last meeting, things tend to change quite a bit from month to month. Again, any single cell in there is actually driving forward 10 years and can cause problems if it's wrong. So something like the Aramark contract still being in, and I caught that and revised it, it helps things a bit. So again, keep an eye on that, just like I said, but it did get better. But any other questions about this month's financial report?
Questions? All right.
Okay. We will read the claims then for 2 payrolls, January 23rd and February 6th, totaling $2,447,946.48. Claims in the amount of $2,175,692.59. You can tell that Mr. Dennis did this because, and it's a shout out to Melanie Beltran, I suppose, I forgot to sum those 2 together. So the sum of those I do not have on paper here and certainly cannot do that in my head, but surely that won't be an issue for the State Board of Accounts that I didn't read the sum of the 2 payroll numbers and the claims numbers. So apologies for forgetting to do that, but appreciate your action on that.
All right. I'll take a motion to approve claims as read
I'll make a motion.
and payroll as read. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Any comments from the public? Okay. Action items. Mr. Dennis.
Change orders for the month, fairly benign. In fact, I believe it's a net return to us, certainly at the high school, but any questions, happy to answer those. Otherwise, appreciate your action on that.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the change orders.
I'll make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, resolution reapproving building corporation. Mr. Dennis?
Next two items related to the 2024 authorization for the renovation of this building, the Student Activity Center, Old Central Elementary. Time for our second and final cash flow issuance. I alluded to this process during the hearing at the beginning. And this is where, again, you don't issue the entire deal at once. You issue it as you need it. And we are down to our last, after this month, about $2.2 million on that initial issuance. Happy to announce that just over 20 million of par bonds will be sold with this deal, and in total that brings us to right at 55 million of par bonds for these projects. The board will recall that that authorization was for 65 million, and so in essence $10 million under budget. And so again, with Mrs. Hutchison's question about being competitive and building efficient, current, respectable buildings, but also not the word elaborate, extravagant, okay, maybe elaborate. So I just wanted to share that. But two pieces of action for you tonight, and really no legal action because obviously this was subject to all the legal processes back in 2024. But anytime we issue bonds, especially lease bonds, the school board does have to reapprove the building corporation. As the board knows, we have two debt instruments in Indiana for school corporations: general obligation bonds, where we actually are the obligor, but any type of lease rental agreements, a building corporation actually represents us. This is you acknowledging their existence and their representation of us.
Okay, so that was for B and C.
That is
That's
just
all
for
under
A.
B.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I will take a motion reapproving regarding the resolution reapproving the building corporation.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now the supplement to the master continuing disclosure undertaking.
Yes, this one's the mouthful. This is the master continuing disclosure undertaking is the document that governs our issuance of these bonds, and so this is you approving the 12th each time you do. So next time would be a 13th, for example. So this is just this particular one.
Okay, I'll take a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, I believe that takes us to our preschool furniture purchase.
Yep, so sharing this is a purchasing cooperative purchase for the preschool furniture. Because this is of an amount that would normally require multiple bids, we bring this memorandum to the board utilizing a purchasing cooperative through CISC. Need to do this to show that we've taken the proper purchasing steps. Lakeshore does offer a 5% discount overall, equates to a little more than a $20,000 discount, right at $16,000 discount on this. So this is for our classroom furniture for preschool, our activity, kind of old gymnasium furniture and things of that nature. So again, have been purchasing a lot of KI furniture for student, K-12 student desk, admin desk, things like that. But Lakeshore specializes a little bit more in the preschool furniture. KI does not have a lot. So just bringing that for the board's consideration this evening.
Any questions? I'll make the motion to approve. And I'll look for a second here.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, bus purchase.
Thank you, Mr. Clauser. Bringing to the board our annual bus purchase. As the board recalls, we do a bus replacement plan every year. Best practice is buses have a lifespan of 12 years. Rather than buying a whole new fleet every 12 years, you buy a little bit every year. We also go through CISC for this. Every year, CISC runs a bus bid process for the three main manufacturers. That would be Bluebird, International or Collins, and then Thomas buses. Most years, the three come in pretty close with one another, and normally International is among the most competitive. Our fleet is entirely International. This is relevant because, and I just learned this the other day. I always think about, International uses, a certain type of brake pad or brake drum. We replace a lot of seats, believe it or not. The vinyl for the seats gets ripped, and you have to replace that. The buses do not pass inspection in that state. That's proprietary to each bus manufacturer. The reason I bring that up this evening is International actually this year per bus came in $7,000 more expensive than Bluebird, and it came in $9,000 more expensive than Collins. So bringing that to the board's attention, Ms. Nichols would dearly like to keep the fleet homogeneous
Consistent.
with Internationals and make sure that we don't have to stock International parts on one side of the garage and either Bluebird or Thomas on the other side. We are purchasing 3 buses this year. Normally we trade in, and I say that loosely, they're worth more, but we get $2,000 when we trade in. Ms. Nichols is suggesting this year keeping buses rather than trading them in. Now, all buses have to be inspected by the state. They're safe, is what I'm sharing. But rather than trading them in, with the number of routes we've been adding every year, and also we did just learn last week we had a bus accident where we were rear-ended on 32 about 3 weeks ago. By the looks of the bus, you would never imagine, but the decision has been to total that bus. We will not get a replacement for that. They won't fix it, and there are no replacement buses. So we are down, I believe, now to 4 spares. That means on any given day when 4 buses don't start, we've got those spares. So to kind of bolster the fleet of reserves a little bit, Ms. Nichols is suggesting to forego that $2,000 trade on those 3 buses and just go ahead and keep them. Also included in this is the purchase of 1 activity bus, the white buses that we drive. So 4 vehicles in total, 3 yellow buses, 1 activity bus. So
We finally have some space to store them, right?
Oh, of course, we do have that. Dr. Milliman did just suggest that we share what.
What's that $2,000 bus cost new?
Well, what's interesting is it seems the tariff situation has particularly hit buses. I remember the first buses that I brought to the board, which would actually have been in 23, were still in the 120s, $170,000 is what a bus is now. So in 3 years, we've seen, 33% increase in buses. So, and again, no air conditioning on these buses, just pretty standard, and they are now $170,000 a piece. So, happy to answer any questions, but again, despite International not being the cheapest this year, would request the board's approval of purchasing those.
So I assume that keeping our buses instead of getting the trade-in will add a little bit of cost to our maintenance of those and the upkeep of those, but not significant.
So they're not in use, so I guess, in other words, if they would be in use, it's because another bus is taken out. So it's not like keeping them increases diesel costs, unless we were to add a route, of course, which has been the case of late. So I suppose, yes, our costs would increase, but it would be due to an increase in student enrollment and routes.
Okay. Any other questions? I take a motion to approve the 2026 bus purchase of International as described by Mr. Dennis.
I'll make that motion.
Take a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Dr. Millen?
Thank you, Mr. Clauser. I'm going to invite up Mr. Levine and Jacob Eggers. Jacob has a proposal for an Eagle Scout project he'd like to get the board's approval for, and I know he's excited to share with you a few slides to discuss his motivation for it.
Thank you, Dr. Millen. I'm excited to bring forward to you tonight our student athlete who plays tennis, Jacob Eggers. He, as Dr. Millen said, is going to present to you his Eagle Scout project. We've had success in the past. The shelter at the soccer complex, the storage cubbies in the weight room, football flagpole and landscape job, and the tennis shed. And I'm very excited to hear what he's going to present to you this evening, and I'm in full support. I think it's going to add to our tennis facility. So, Jacob, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Levine. Good evening. My name is Jake Eggers, and I'm representing Troop 359. I'm here before you tonight seeking your approval for my Eagle Scout project. For my Eagle Scout project, I will be leading volunteers from my troop to improve the tennis court facilities so they can continue to be enjoyed by students, coaches, and others to play, practice, and enjoy the game of tennis. But before I tell you about my project, let me tell you a little about myself. I joined Scouts in first grade as a Tiger, progressed through the ranks to Arrow of Light, and I crossed over to the troop where I started my journey in Scouts. Through the rank of Scout, Tenderfoot, second class, first class, Star. My current rank is Life. I've loved the journey and are very excited to complete it with earning my Eagle rank. Now about my project. This project has two main parts. First, we'll be building new benches for the courts. In total, we plan to construct 3 4-foot metal benches for players and 6 8-foot metal benches for spectators. These will prove sturdy, long-lasting seating for both players and spectators, making the courts more comfortable and welcoming for everyone who uses them. The second part of our project focuses on restoring one of the existing sheds. Over time, weather, age, and even animals have caused damage to it. Our work will include replacing one full set of shingles due to missing shingles, replacing the damaged trim, repairing one of the vents, and replacing rotted siding on the back of the shed, and repainting the entire shed to match the other shed, which was also an Eagle Scout project. These improvements will help protect the equipment stored inside and give the facility a cleaner, more cared-for appearance. To fund the project, I'll be reaching out to local businesses and community members for donations of materials or financial support. I'll also be seeking discounted prices for hardware stores, like for items like lumber, shingles, paint, and materials needed for the benches. I've already started reaching out to friends and family for their support. My goal is to begin work as soon as my fundraising goal is met. Then I will secure the materials and begin planning for the build day. The timeline is from the approved date to the end of March to secure the funds for the project, and through March and April, finalize the design plans, gather materials, confirm donations, and in May, we're going to schedule build dates with school leaders, troop, and volunteers. By May 31st, we'll complete the project and all documentation. I'm excited for the opportunity to lead this project, and I'm grateful for the support of my troop and community. Together, we'll make the tennis courts a better place for everyone who uses them. Thank you for your time.
Questions for Mr. Eggers? Tennis Dad?
I am very proud of you, Jake. If it wasn't for Jake Eggers, my son would not be in Scouts. So, very proud of you. I think this is a great project, and I look forward to seeing the outcome of it. I wish you well.
Thank you.
Jake, we've never met. I have a colleague that told me today about you, and you were going to give a speech tonight. You are a part of our Explorer program for the Lebanon Police Department. So that makes me super proud, and I'm happy that you're offering your time and commitment to do this for our community, our school.
If somebody wants to donate, they just contact you, or how does that work?
Mr. Levine?
Mr. Levine?
Yeah, they can go through me and get contact information. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, Jake, thank you very much for your work on this.
Thanks, Jake.
And I will make a motion. Do we need to approve this project?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I'll make the motion.
I'd like to make the
approve.
motion.
You'd like to make the motion?
I'd like to
Mr.
make the
Havlin?
motion to
All
approve
right.
it.
All right, Mr. Havlin makes the motion to approve the project. I'll take a second.
I'll second. Absolutely.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thanks again, Jake.
Congratulations, Jake.
All right, our upcoming board meetings and events, March 17th, 2026, right before spring break.